Okay, hi there. How's everybody doing? How are you? You look absolutely awesome. Have you lost weight? Thank you. Yes, I did as well. 200 pounds. That's right. So, some of you people seem kind of stressed, even nervous. That kind of concerns me, scares me actually. So, I do not like being scared. So, let's do something about this. What can we do? Okay, let's see if I can calm things down a bit by telling you some facts about me so you get to know me better. You're probably just nervous because you're wondering whether or not I like you, or whether I'm a threat to you or what, right? So, here's some fun facts about me. You may have noticed that I'm not an especially large person. However, I was not always like this. I used to weigh over 300 pounds. And some of you are probably wondering, how did I manage to lose so much weight? This is actually an amazing story. So pay attention, because you know that there are some people that you're going to tell about how I did this. They're going to be really interested in knowing how to lose weight so easily. You know exactly who I mean, don't you? Okay, you don't have to tell me, but you know who they are. So they're the people that, if you're watching this video, the people who sent it to you, that was you. So in order to lose weight, I really only changed two things. Either one of those things will actually produce weight loss. If I have time, then I will tell you both of those two things. Okay? If I have time. So first, I studied what bears eat before they hibernate, which is what makes them extremely fat for winter. Right? I figured that if I want to stop getting fatter and maybe even lose some weight, then I need to know what actions I had taken to get so fat. Does that make sense? So I studied bears. I also studied cattle ranching. And yeah, really. Do you know what cattle are fed to fatten them up? Do you know what bears eat right before hibernating to bulk up and get really heavy? Every year, it's the same. It works the same every time they do this. Does anybody know? That's right. That's right. So they eat a lot of junk food and pastries and sweetened drinks. Right? So that's how they get so huge, right? When they go shopping, they ignore the outer rim of the store, and they just focus on just buying the things that are in the aisles, right? So that's how to get really fat. Now you know. All the bears and bulls know exactly what to eat to get fat. So that's reliable. If you want to bulk up for a movie role or something, then that's a great way to do it. Okay, so just think about ranchers and bears hibernating and stuff like that, and that'll help you remember how to eat the things that'll make you huge. Okay, so okay. In fact, there's actually no other way to get really fat. You have to eat that stuff. You have to eat the specific things that will make you expand, okay? You can't just slowly blow up like a balloon from eating a diet of grilled fish. Right? No matter how much of it you eat, it won't work. Eating several pounds of fish will just not produce the same effect as eating like before bears for hibernation, or when they fatten up the cattle. If you know what they feed them, eating a lot of fish will not produce that. Won't produce that enlarging effect. So why? Because you'll not even digest all of the fish if you eat that much of it. Okay? Right? Think about that for a minute. If you eat a lot of it, you're not going to digest it all, right? Are you? Like if you ate a lot, Would you digest all of it? Or would there be a little something left over, okay, when you're done digesting? Think about that, okay? Think about that. So remember, it's not just what you put in you that matters, but what stays in you, right? What stays in you after you eat, and for a few days, for some time passes, and then if it's still in you, then that's different than if it's passed out of you. Okay, so it's what stays in you that makes you gain weight, not what gets dumped out at the other end. Okay. All right. So if your body does not want to store something, or cannot store it, then it will dump it out. It will dump it out. Like there's different ways that it can dump it out, but it will dump it out. So, okay. So I know that, yeah, I understand. I understand. There are people in school who were telling you about counting calories. Yeah. That was a joke. What they were telling you was a joke. Because they may have forgotten about the other hole besides your mouth. Yeah. But unless you do not have another hole down there, then keep in mind that what everyone who is bulimic already knows. Okay, keep in mind, unless you don't have a hole down there, keep in mind what everyone who is bulimic already knows. You have to digest it for it to make you fat. Okay? Okay. Good. Think about this with me now. If it never gets past your stomach, it will not make you fat. That's the bulimic thing. The bulimics are the ones who... Okay, so if it passes out of you without getting digested, then that is probably not going to make someone fat, is it? No, it's not. If it comes out, you put it in your mouth and it comes back out your mouth, not going to make you fat. If you put it in your mouth and then it comes out the other end, it's still not going to make you fat because you didn't digest it. So counting calories is it's a joke. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's right, exactly. Have any of you ever raised small children? They get bigger, but okay, so like the kind that wear diapers, exactly, right? So how about this? Have you ever opened up a sagging diaper to see a nice bright yellow grain of corn? Think about it for a second. If you can still see the entire grain of corn whole and intact, then it probably did not get digested, right? No, it didn't. So if you counted those calories of that grain of corn that is now sitting there in the fragrant sludge of the diaper staring up at you, then you might want to learn something from the bulimics. If you did not digest it, then it cannot make you fat. Okay, did you think about that? If you do not digest it, if you put it in your mouth and it comes out your mouth, or if you put it in your mouth and it comes out the other end, then you didn't digest it. And if you did digest it, then did you count those calories? They're gonna no, right? No. It's like blowing up a balloon that has a hole in the balloon. So it just you blow, but it doesn't get any bigger because of the hole right at the other end of the balloon. Okay, so okay, ready for okay. Oh, I've got a little bit of excuse me. Okay, so all right. So that's pretty simple. So if you want to puff and puff on a balloon to blow it bigger and bigger, right? Then you have to give your body the food that tells your body to put everything in storage for the cold season. Only certain foods give that signal to the body. Like the signal, right? Those are the only food that bears who are bulking up for the winter should eat, right? If you're bulking up for the winter, you only eat the things. Give your food the signal to store for the winter, right? So those are the only foods the cattle ranches will feed their cattle to fatten them up before slaughter. Okay, so okay, if you want to get bigger, if you want to get massive, right? I don't mean muscular. I mean rotund. then eat the stuff that bears and cows eat to get fat. It works for you too. You're a mammal also, by the way. If you want to get smaller, stop eating that stuff. To lose weight, you can eat things like fish that do not trigger your body's storage hormone. Okay? All right. It was a joke what they told you about the counting calories. Yeah, it's silly. By the way, the second method, right? I told you there were two if I had time. And, okay, I have time. What the heck? So this is important. The second method, even easier than changing what you eat. Okay? And it's not exercise. I'm not that into exercise. If I don't have time. I don't have time for stressing my body an extra 10 hours a week. I mean, no, not really. No. Look at me closely, okay? I can show you my huge massive biceps, right? I don't exercise that, not at all. So that's not the other method. For people who think that exercise is essential for weight loss, it was a joke. Think about a hibernating bear. In case you don't know, okay, I'll explain this. Hibernating. It means sleeping for a long time. So the bear's not even awake. It's not exercising. Unless it's having dreams about running playfully through the fresh mountain stream, in the forest and stuff, then it's not moving at all. It's sleeping. It's hibernating. It's still. It's totally still. So it's not exercising, and yet it's losing weight because it starts hibernating huge, the biggest it ever is all year, and then at the end of hibernation, it's the thinnest it ever was all year. It's weird. There's no exercise. Counting calories and okay. So what else? When the bear starts hibernating, it's as fat as it ever gets, and after a few months of no exercise at all, the bear is as skinny as it will ever be. So stop telling me that you need exercise in order to lose weight. Not quite. That's totally false. And anyone, including bears, can lose weight without exercising. I know it. Every bear knows it, and now you know it. Okay. So the second thing that I did to lose weight, it wasn't exercise. It's even simpler. Exposure to cold. That's basically the other end of the same issue of winter hibernation. Okay, so right, winter hibernation is very cold. Something changes in the bear while it's hibernating that makes it get skinny. It stops storing the fat and starts burning it. That's right. That's right. So there are certain things to eat that trigger a hormone signal to store everything, okay? And then that hormone prevents fat from being burned, and that hormone is very important. It's called leptin. The best way to trigger that hormone signal that reverses the conservation of fat and triggers the efficient burning of the fat really fast, it's cold exposure. That's the hormonal trigger, right? If you have the cold, it works every time. This mechanism is like just biochemical. It's like it's so easy to fool your brain. You don't have to actually have winter for your brain to think. For your brain to sense, oh my gosh, it's so much colder all of a sudden. Let's stop conserving fat and start to burn it. Okay? So this always works. The details of your personal history, they do not change the basics of being a mammal, right? Because you're a mammal, this method will work for you. If you're interested in, health and better physique and things like that. So, of course, your brain cannot instantly tell if it's actually winter or not, because that's like, you could be traveling to different parts of the world. You could go to Australia, then you go back to, Britain, and then you go to Brazil, and then you go to California, and it's like, that's a completely different issue, right? whether it's winter, wherever you happen to be in that moment. Different issue. It's a little more complex. But this is very simple. If your brain senses cold, bam, like that, it can instantly recognize the cold, right? This couldn't be any simpler or faster. Okay? So, for instance, have you ever stepped into a shower that you thought was going to have warm water, but the water was actually cold? Yeah, I know. Your brain does not need very long to tell when there's a sudden drop in temperature. Like, boom! The cold water hits you, right? So your brain's very quick, okay? Quick. It's very quick. So have you ever, this is another great thing. I hope this has never happened to you, but have you ever had someone flush a toilet? And you're in the shower, and the hot water in the shower turned cold all of a sudden. And how long does it take for your brain to notice that something has changed when the water's suddenly cold? Can you pretend that the water is still warm and prevent your brain from responding instantly? No, because this is really, really simple stuff. That's right, even bears know this. They jump in the cold stream, bam, and it works just like that. It's great. So this always works, and this is like as certain as the fact that if a whole grain of kernel is still in the fragrant sludge of the sagging diaper, right, when you open it, then oh wow, and the corn kernel. Well, then that specific grain of corn is not going to fatten you up because you didn't digest it. Okay? Remember what the bulimics know. Okay, so this is 100%. This is really reliable. This isn't like the stuff they teach you in school. That's like, well, we think it might be true. No, this is real. Okay, so. As for the details of triggering the weight loss hormone, how do you do it, right? With the cold thing. You can put your whole body in cold water. You can. Your brain responds instantly to that, right? So you can also put just your hand in freezing cold water. You can even fill a sink of cold water with ice cubes and pinch your nose and then just dunk. Put your whole face in there. You can do that. So no matter how little or how much of your skin is exposed to cold, so your brain can instantly sense the drop in temperature and respond, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. So if you expose yourself to cold for even just a few minutes every day, like day after day, then your brain will automatically respond like a new ice age is coming. It may or may not be true, but that's how your brain will respond because of the sudden drop in temperature in your skin on boom, triggers, and you can feel it, and it's great, and your brain will stop preserving the fat for when it's going to get cold later because your brain's like, oh, it's cold now, it's time to stop the conservation of fat and start the burners, right? Okay, so that's your brain's really fast like that. Okay, it's really fast. Okay, so why is it so fast? Because your brain just felt the cold instantly, and this is what it's been waiting for. It's ready to burn the fat. It's been storing the fat for a while, right? Because you ate the thing that signals to your body, store fat. There's no fat around, so we've got to store our fat. If you eat a low-fat diet, so your body will store everything and convert it into fat because it's like, oh, we really need fat. That's really important, and it's probably winter coming, so we're going to, right? So let's see. So that's what your brain's been waiting for. All of a sudden, it stops conserving the fat, and the brain responds to the sensation of cold, like when you're in the cold water in the shower, right? And then your body responds to that by turning the fat burners on full blast, right? Okay. It's like if you put your grain of corn in a diaper, you ate it right first, but then you put it in a diaper. Not you, your child puts it in the diaper, okay, and then you take it to the doctor and you say, do you think that this calorie right here from this grain of corn is gonna make the okay? Oh, hey. Oh, all right. Oh, all right. I love it when my patients bring in the sagging diaper with the bright yellow kernel of corn. Okay, so, all right. Remember, tricking the brain like this, I'm talking about the cold exposure again. Okay, you put your cold water or whatever, right? Showers. Tricking the brain like this only takes a few minutes a day. You have time for that, right? For people who have nothing better to do and want to waste their time exercising and stressing their body out by all that, exercise, you can still include this method, which is one that actually works, by the way, because this one only takes a few extra minutes. Okay? So once again, stop telling me that anyone who needs to exercise in order to lose weight. That's not true. No matter how sincerely ignorant someone is, this is still, the thing about needing to exercise is still totally false. Okay? The actual mechanisms of nature do not change just because someone discovers that mechanism and then eventually understands how some of it works. Okay? So these ignorant doctors who don't know that you've got another end at the besides the mouth, you got another end down there. Those doctors, ignore them. They're joking, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that. So when someone later, when your doctor goes, oh my gosh, I discovered you have a hole at the other end. The hole didn't just appear. The hole's been there all along. But the doctor, sometimes it takes them a while to discover it. And he'll be like, I smell something. And you'll be like, yeah, that's the the big fragrant mess of sludge down there in the diaper, the sagging diaper, and it's probably got some whole green, whole kernels of corn down there, right? and that's the kind of thing that doctors, it takes them a while to get it, right? It takes them a while to get it because they learned something else, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, there's another hole down there. It must be new because I would have learned about that in school if that was already true, because it must be new now because I didn't know. I didn't think about that, so I feel silly. So, how much you digest could be important, okay? But count calories anyway, because it's like it'll be better at math, which is important. So, okay, who exactly can lose weight without exercising? Anyone, including bears, can lose weight without exercising. I know it. Bears know it, and now even you know it. Okay. So now I do realize that I could have created some additional stress for some of you. Okay. In the future, it will be much harder for you to maintain a pretense of scientific credibility behind some of the most popular weight loss superstitions, if you want to continue to assert them. Oh my gosh, that's great. Whew. You had me on that thing about the no hole until I opened the diaper and found the hole there. Right. If you really want, though, you can argue with bulimics about digesting food is something that doesn't matter. It's more important to count calories than to digest the food. Okay, so then you can claim and say, hey, bulimics, hey, you know that it does not matter if you digest the food or not, or else the issue of digesting food would have been on my test in health class, right? Since your test only mentioned what you eat and not what you digest, then you stopped thinking and started memorizing the answer that would give you the credit on the test, right? Right? So maybe instead of arguing with you about your unscientific superstitions, the bulimics will just barf all over you. And to help you remember not to be fooled by brainless quack doctors who tell you to count calories, because that's... All right. So if you have a brainless quack as a doctor, though, get a different one. Not a different brainless quack, a different doctor. Okay. So as a way to test the doctors, okay, a way to test the doctors to see if they're brainless quacks or not, you can ask them about how bears eat to get fat for winter. And then ask them, because if they don't think that that there's a certain way to eat that makes you fat and a certain way to eat that not maybe, not, oh, you didn't, no, always works for everyone because you're a mammal. There's certain diets that will work for bulking up or for slendering, for turning on the fat burning hormones, because they're just little biochemical triggers. They don't actually, they don't have a choice, okay? They just work. When you do those actions, those results are produced. So you can ask the doctor, if you're wondering if they're a brainless quack or not, you can ask them, how do bears get fat for winter, and then ask, how do bears eat to specifically get fat for winter, and then ask the doctor. You should always use licensed doctors also. Ask the doctor how the hibernating bears get thin without exercising while they're sleeping for a few months, right? So if you want, because some of them will say, oh, you need to exercise. That's a joke. So if you want, you can even keep the special diaper, right? I was talking about this earlier. You keep the special diaper, just keep it around for a while. Or when you go in to see the doctor, you can keep the diaper and just go in and say, oh, look, here, this is a diaper, and it has a big bright yellow grain of corn in it, right? Oh, look, right here, sniff up, put up their nose and say, hey, Dr. Quack, should this specific kernel of corn be counted right here? This one right here, you see it? Could this be counted in the calorie thing or not? Because first, okay, I was feeding the baby, and it was like all vomited, got sick, and I'm not sure. Should I count those calories? And then when it go the other end, the grain of corn, should I? And then what about the exercise issue with the bears? And I'm wondering if you're a brainless quack or open to science. So did I mention that I'm also a licensed MD? If so, then that is proof to you that not all MDs are dumber than a grain of corn in a sagging diaper. Also, in case there are any protectors of medical superstition out there right now, I take back everything that I just said. All of it, yes. None of it was true. So, bears do not hibernate. I made that up. Ranchers do not fatten cattle with certain diets. No. Bulimics gain weight based on what they swallow, what they put into their mouth, not on what they digest. It doesn't matter if they vomit or if it comes out with a grain of corn. It would have been on the test, right, if that mattered. So a grain of corn cannot go all the way from mouth to diaper without being totally digested and then disappearing completely, because every calorie in is, right? Okay? So just like everybody knows this. So further, medical doctors cannot be brainless quacks. That was a joke. This is a joke. They cannot be brainless quacks who worship superstitions that are damaging to health, but very lucrative for the doctors. That idea is speculative. Impossible, number one. Speculative, number two. Wrong, insulting. That's four things right there. It's wrong, insulting, speculative, and false. And insulting and speculative. So that idea is speculative, like oh, here's another speculation. Changing the temperature in your shower from warm water to freezing water. That's not going to create an instant reaction on your skin. Your brain can't tell. It's like their brain doesn't. You need to have it signed from your doctor, so then it will work. If your doctor tells you that cold water is something that you can feel with your skin and stuff and your nerves and things, then it works. Okay. Otherwise, what are you thinking? You're talking like, oh, I'm a mammal with language skills and logical skills. Did your doctor tell you that? Because if your doctor didn't tell you that, if it wasn't on the test in middle school, then can you be sure? Yeah. So if it were true, okay, if something were true, it would be on the test that I took in medical school. What is really important is life, and what is really important is life, number one. And in life, what is really important is, number three, is to take advice from people who are good at passing tests. really good at passing tests. I know, it's like awesome. They're so good at passing tests. Wow, that's a. Hey, that's how I got to be a licensed MD. You got to be good at passing tests, right? So if they're otherwise ineffective, ignorant, confused, negligent, brainless quacks, well, what difference does that make? If they passed a test, then you should probably forget about the diaper, forget about the hibernating bears, forget about it, okay? Forget about it. The person that you were going to tell this about, because they're interested in weight loss, forget about it. Do not. If it wasn't on the test, how can it be scientific? Was it on the test that you have another hole at the other end? You put it in the mouth, and then you eat the corn and you didn't chew it, so whoa, at the other end it's still Was it on the test? Because if the test didn't say, by the way, you have another hole, then did you have a hole before you took the test? Like when you were in middle school and you took the test, does that mean that when you were in elementary school you didn't have the hole? Did you think about that? So you got to be careful and make sure that you focus on listening to people who are good at passing tests. Okay, it's very important. I'm not sure about the people who make the tests. It's a whole different issue. Trying to complicate things, aren't you? Whatever. They've never changed medical licensure tests in the last 6,000 years, so it's not like science advances. Okay, if the person passed the test, their advice is good. If they have no expertise in the area, if their effectiveness rate is very low, no experience, they're huge themselves, then that might be a brainless quack, and you might want to consider some of the MDs like myself who have lost weight by working with their body's actual design. Okay. Jack Cruz, Terry Walls, she not only lost some weight but regained the ability to walk because she was crippled, and then she changed her diet and wasn't crippled anymore. And then Jerry Tennant, another MD, licensed MD, lost a lot of weight. Why? How? What did he do? Thought about bears and kernels of corn. Okay? And he did some research. You guys might be, I know it's like, oh no, I'd rather be huge than do a little research and buy a $15 book and take, what are you talking about, 3 minutes a day to put my face in cold water? Cold thermogenesis, that's a long word. I would have learned it in middle school if it was important. My doctor doesn't know it. I should yeah, anyway, so if you're interested in becoming a licensed MD, you need to pass some tests, and it doesn't matter if the material is actually accurate. It's just, can you memorize it? It's not, do you understand it? It's not, can you produce results? It's, can you memorize it and then regurgitate it like a believer? Can you regurgitate it onto the test so you can pass your test and get your license and do stuff? It might be damaging to people's health, but it could be very lucrative. So, if you think that there's such a thing of brainless quacks, there's not. No, there's not. There's no doctors. There's no licensed MDs that are brainless quacks. There's no brainless quacks at all. Okay, there's just no such thing. I know it. Even bears know it. Every bear knows it. Okay, and now you know it. You should thank me, by the way.